TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the Talktainment Radio app to your cell or tablet. And remember that it's radio the way it should be heard. I'm stuttering a little bit because I'm excited about having a living library right here with us on This Is Libby. So call in at 1-877-932-9766 and talk to you some Libby and Mr. Norman Jones. He is a well-researched historian. He has numerous books and articles. He's even created a game so that we can continue to learn while we play. So I'm glad you're with me, Mr. Jones. I really am. What I want to do now, because you mentioned the art of living, you mentioned lack of knowledge, you mentioned chess and dominoes as a game, a brain game, a conflict game, but harmless. Then there's wine appreciation and creative spirit. He also you described heritage and those letters and what that means. This is what I want to know. I want to pick your brain just a little bit. What I want to know is, you are an elder. Are you okay with telling us your age?
I turned 75 in July of 2019.
Okay.
I'm a pre-baby boomer. I'm a post-baby boomer and a pre-millennium.
Yes, so you're in the house. Now, the questions that I'm going to ask, I'm going to first start with the fact that I'm going to talk about fear. We're entering 2020. There's a lot of turmoil going on. The weather is real crazy. There are volcanoes. There are earthquakes. People are dying from now, which is another day. We'll talk about this another day. But there is a virus out right now. I think it originated, or they found it to be, in China or Asia. I'll put it that way. It's killed at least 17 people, and it's coming through a source called bat soup. Now, there's quarantine conversations with this virus. And so I want everyone to know not to be afraid. Don't be afraid, okay? However, be aware. So since the word fear has just been coming up over and over again, I want to just give you a few facts about fear. And then, Mr. Jones, when we were children, our ancestors taught us how to survive back then by using some good common sense stuff. So you got punished harshly. Everybody didn't do it. Come on now. However, you would get punished for misobeying and not doing, because it could make a difference in whether you even got home from wherever it is you went. So based on that, I looked up the word fear and what that meant, and why our ancestors, our grannies and granddaddies and uncles and aunties wanted to make sure we survived, because fear in its proper place works. So it's an emotional response to threats, okay? And danger, it's a basic survival mechanism that responds to a specific stimulus, such as pain or the threat of pain. And I won't go further with that. It's just that fear is an emotion, such as joy, sadness, anger. Those are emotions as well. You being 75 years old, I'm going to put this paper down and look you into the camera and into your face as well. Our men are in trouble. And you're 75, you've seen a lot of things. I want to know what we're going to do. Where do we start? What mistakes have we made? What mistakes are we making now, and how do we fix it? Because your wisdom is going to stay with us long after you go to Florida and enjoy yourself in that warm air, when I'll be here when it's 20 something. So tell me your take on our men now. Young men, old men, start wherever you like. And tell me your feeling about our men.
We dropped God.
Okay.
When we were growing up, God was everywhere.
All right.
So we went to church, we went to the streets, we went on our way to church. We heard the radio. Amos, I'm sorry to say Amos and Andy, but I mean Eddie Saunders would play radio spirituals.
Yes.
And we never missed a record because everybody down the block had the same radio program on until we got to church.
Mm-hmm.
And those churches and those activities that the children involved themselves in Sunday school, BYPU, was always directed toward the fear of God.
Okay.
And that's the fear that we have not lost. We're fearing everybody except for God.
Ooh.
And as a result, we're getting destroyed. And that's because of that man in doctrine and the fear that he actually put into African Americans when they got off that ship as slaves. But we still believed that God was still alive, so we was able to make that transition and go through that harshness and come out. Actually, we would go to the fields and pick cotton from sun up to sundown. On Saturday, we got a half a day off, and we went to town. Eventually found our way to the juke joint.
Oh.
And we partied until the sunlight came up when we had to go to church, where we heard the Spirit and we would sleep. So we had the body made us sleep.
Are you?
And that was our rest. That's how we made it through the cotton picking days, because we couldn't go to sleep. There was no rest. You had to work every day, all day.
Okay.
Almost 36 hours every day.
36 hours every day.
Well, you work
only 24.
You work twice as hard every day.
I get you. Now, our youngers are going to say, man, we don't know nothing about that.
That's because their parents wouldn't tell them about it because it was so cruel. My mother would not allow. My mother moved from the country because the harshness. She left 100 square acres that was given to her mother, who was the owner of her family, and she had 6 children from the white plantation owner, and he left 100 square acres to the kids.
All right.
And my mother said, y'all can split it up because I don't want no part of it. Now, she just took my inheritance from me. But I'm not upset with her for that because it made me creative to get my own inheritance. And that was my mind.
Okay, so I remember, now you mentioned the church, so I'll do that one first. In the church, the pastor was a very prominent, powerful figure for our young men. There was a way to do things. And so his influence made the difference between yay and nay. I mean, it just did. So you would go to the pastor, am I correct?
No.
If there was a problem?
No.
Who would you go to?
You would go to God. You would go to your father. You would go to the example, the person that sleep with your mother, the one that brought food into your home and made clothes for you. You would go to your father, your physical father, and your spiritual father.
Okay.
You would not go to breaking a preacher unless he was your father.
Okay. So our experiences with preachers are a little different because the preacher that baptized me as a child, his name was Moses L. Jackson. Big, thick, muscular man and a gentle hand. Could literally crush your neck with his hand.
Okay.
But he had a gentle hand and he had a big booming voice and his spirit was just powerful. So that experience with us is different. However, that preacher was still in your presence, correct?
Right.
In that
Yes.
church.
Oh, yes.
He was an official person
Right.
in
he was
the
the
church.
head of the church.
Then did you have like the people under the pastor, like deacons and so forth?
Well,
the structure of the church was pretty much the same?
That was when my early childhood, which was at Macedonia Baptist Church, which was located in historic Flytown community in Columbus, downtown Columbus. That was grown up folks' business. So we couldn't involve ourselves in any policies of the church or even talking in the church because your mother would look at you. She would discipline you with her eyes.
Oh, do we remember the look?
So that was the way. That's the fear we had with our parents.
There's the fear of the useful.
That's the activity, and it was disciplined fear that we inherited from our origins because we didn't have to whip nobody.
Oh,
we just had to make an expression. Actually, that expression came not only in fear but in love because it introduced love to a wink of a woman's eye in answer to a wink of a man's eye, would create a romantic atmosphere and sometimes to marriage. So it wasn't just physical. It wasn't a physical hand-on thing. It was the expression in your body. Even dancing, I found out that our movements and dancing steps was created when a woman would drop her child, her offspring, in a stand-up position, and he would drop on the ground, on the soft ground. And if he bounced, he was breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And when he bounced long enough, and his hands and his balance became available, he would jump from instead of walking from one place to another place. He would jump. That's the brings our arithmetic experience. He could dance, but that dancing is part of his first standing up on his foot.
Yes.
He was dancing. He was dancing. He was bouncing. He wasn't walking. He wasn't crawling.
So there was structure for everything. There's a purpose for absolutely everything.
There's an origin to everything.
So then, what do you think about what our children are doing now?
Well,
they call it dancing.
But the integration is the structure of our culture. Our structure in integrating. When we integrated our schools, it destroyed our history, it destroyed our community, it destroyed our identity. Before integration, we lived in our solid black communities.
Ooh,
and
yes.
everybody in the community looked out for everybody.
Yes.
So we looked out for winos, and the winos looked out for the children. So we had a structure, we had a discipline, we had an order.
An order. That's the word. There was order. An order. So even the drunk on the street, we knew him as Uncle Charlie or Old Sam or Aunt Ethel May or whoever the name was. There was a mutual respect for that person.
And we didn't call him a drunk, we called him a wino, because that's what he did. He drank wine. But he also worked, because he was on that corner where the people that needed people to work for them, they would go to the corner, and the guys would be standing there in the wintertime with fire in the barrel.
Fire in the barrel?
To keep them warm.
I see.
And they would pick up people and take them to where they would get jobs and get work and get enough money to make their income for their wine.
Okay. So now, what are you seeing in our community now? Because I know you're in the community. What is that you're seeing? The breakdown?
I see a police force. I see a police action. I see a police state. I see something that is disciplined, that is best for the establishment. And the establishment, we used to be able to stand on the corner and harmonize.
Oh, yeah.
And we became famous, and the drifters started. Everybody of any substance in the entertainment field is singing and dancing. They started on the corner.
Yes, they did. I was out there.
And as a result, we were a little bit more disciplined. But now, we can't even stand on the corner, or else we can't even be in our car. They'll tell you to get out of your car.
Man, why are you saying that?
Because they want that discipline. They want you to bow down. They want you to know that there's law and order in the land, and the law and order is directed toward us keeping the order, and not you guys doing what you want to do or say what you want to do. But the Constitution destroyed that. But what we did was, we have to obey the law. That's the one thing that I identified. My mother always told me, and my father always said, do not go to jail, because you know what will happen. You will stay there. And that was it was. And you didn't want to go to jail, because you didn't want to miss out on what was going on in the corner.
So what do we tell the young men who are making the babies? Now, I know the women are there too. Don't go there. But we're just talking about the men right now, because I have an elder here with knowledge to give to our men. What do you tell them? Let's say, for instance, they're making numerous babies, not taking care of their children. Y'all know I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about you, don't worry about it. But some of the men, young men and older, are not taking care of their babies. What do you tell them? You just said folks went to work, even the winos went to work. What do you tell these young men now?
Well, back in the day, we would take our children with us to work. And as a result, they would learn by looking at us and by our example.
Okay.
So the older people now said, we educated, so you don't have to come, because back in the day, we had to work hard in the fields and on the construction sites and so forth. so we could get our kids to help us with that job. But
Okay.
now we got educated and got white folks jobs inside the office. We couldn't take them there to teach them anything that was involved with the money that white folks were making. So as a result, our kids were out in the street, and they were doing things that they felt that was comfortable to them, and was not it was not making money. And one of the things that happened during the civil rights era was the black kids, or the kids that did the demonstration, they had no discipline, because they were going and robbing and stealing and taking advantage of the situation.
How did we lose the discipline? There was a fear at one point. There's things you didn't even talk back to your
That's right.
grandmother.
That's
You
right.
you didn't talk. Auntie who? What? You'd go into the middle of next week with a few less teeth. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's a breakdown with that. What do you think happened, and what can we do to fix it? Because they don't have fear like we used to
Our
have.
leadership failed us with the civil rights movement,
Oh.
because they had no interest in or no appreciation for economics, for the things that make this America what it is. There's nothing happens in America any day if nothing is sold or nothing is sold. If nothing happens if somebody buys something, somebody sells something. That's the discipline. Now going to Kroger's, you being able to go to Kroger's or being able to go to the Hilton and get a room, is fine, except for you had to pay for that room. And if you don't have enough money to pay for that room or to get your groceries, you don't participate. And that's the component that we don't have, and that was the exact direct result from the civil rights movement.
Okay, so Kroger, if you're not familiar, it's a grocery store located here in the central area of the country. However, there are other grocery stores, and I think I got it what he's talking about. One, you had to work so you could eat, and two, if you wanted to go to a very nice place to be, you had to have the money and provisions to take care of that. And he's saying to you, if I'm incorrect, now you stop me, Mr. Jones, okay? What he said, so the young men, my understanding, a lot of them are living off women. And some of that's going to change here real soon because of the way politics are working. Now, when you're old enough, did you bring in the entire income, or did you have help when you were younger with your family?
I did not allow my wife to go to work.
You didn't allow that?
That was my responsibility, her and my children.
Okay.
And now my children own my company. I work for them because I work for them.
Uh-huh. So now for those of you that don't get all tore up here when he says I didn't allow, because there was a standard that these men lived by, these men who are now in their 70s and 75s and approaching 80s. That was their responsibility, they felt, to take care of the family. My understanding after talking with my father was I bring home the money. If my wife wants to help me, because it's a little different time, if she wants to help me, that's fine. But my family depends solely on my money. We know those circumstances have changed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what happened that it changed? A lot of breakdown going on, a lot of conversation going on about provisions and family. So what do you think happened?
What happened was the welfare community
Okay.
and the social activities
Okay.
destroyed the family intentionally. Because if you were receiving any assistance for your children and your caseworker came to your house and saw a man pair of shoes in your house, they would cut you out for welfare, saying that you can't be living with you cannot. What they're saying is you cannot be living with your son's father because we're giving you some money, and that destroyed the community breakdown. It did it legally, it did it politically, it did it through the law. It destroyed the family of the African Americans and also some white kids.
Oh, sure. There's always some fallout on that side as well. So if I was to quote you on anything, what is it you would tell our young men at this time?
I would tell them to look at their parents and look at their grandparents and see what their grandparents did to live and did what they did for their families, and the example that they chose to give their parents. And what we're doing with this quaternary is developing stories of ancestry in the 19th century. since blacks have been in America, but since only 200 years, 400 years, my father told me that 250 of those years were on-the-job training programs.
Uh-huh.
When we learned how to work, we learned how to create, we learned how to invent, we learned how to enjoy our lives and to treat our families and our communities with respect. And we made it.
Okay.
And then we found out that we were smart. We went to school and we found out that we got the right folks' education and we started living like them. And we wanted to be like them, and we are, because they are killing each other, and they've been killing everybody. Now we're killing each other.
Now, so what I'm getting from you right now, the wisdom in our conversation has to do with our history, our standards, our way of life, making the difference, because we don't pick cotton anymore. I have memories of cotton fields,
Okay.
but most of the people that listen to my voice may not have that. But what I'm gleaning from you, that you're telling our people, is that we need to learn about where we came from, pick up on some of those practices that worked, let go of the ones that do not. Correct?
We need to pay attention to who we are and not to what other people are.
Oh, that's marvelous.
We need to do the best that we can do among ourselves and to ourselves and for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And let America do what let them do their thing, but we should do our thing, because we do it better.
We do it better?
Yeah, we know.
Oh, I'd like to end it on that. Yeah. We do it better. Hey, Libby's going to write that down. And this year, since I'm savoring 68, we're going to do it better. We do it better. It's a little different than going to do it, but we do it better.
Yeah.
I do want to thank you for being with me.
I'm glad I talked to you.
This has been rich, because not only do we have your words, but we also have your written words as well to refer to. I'm looking forward to doing that. That wine appreciation thing is kind of nice, and that creative spirit touched my spirit, because we're all given gifts, correct? And if we use our given gifts to further promote humanity, we do it better.
I want to say something before we go.
Yes, what's that?
I retired on Labor Day of 2019 as guest in the press box at Ohio Stadium of the president of the university.
Okay. See.
I was in the press box for 6 decades.
Okay.
I began at East High School in a journalism class.
Oh, yes, East High School. So now what I want, if you don't know East High School, look it up, East High School. TalkTainmentRadio.com is the world's greatest radio. It's radio the way it should be heard.
Yeah.
So being that in that position right there, I'm going to be using that a lot as well, because it is the greatest radio. And when you come back, and you know I'm going to have you come back here, right, Mr. Giles?
I'll be back Easter.
You'll be back? He's going to go to Florida, you see, and he's going to lay out in the sun and get...
No, I'm going to speak I'm going to introduce the Barack Obama Library in St. Petersburg.
In the sunshine. In the warm air, sea breezes blowing, the whole thing, correct?
Golf beach.
Oh, yeah, see? And so that way, what I'm saying to everyone here is that, you should learn your history. You'd be surprised how rich we really are. Just our food, the food that we eat, New Year's Day and that kind of thing. So considering all the things that we do to stay alive, to stay healthy, stay well, we want to live well. Correct, Mr. Jones?
We do live well.
Oh, we do live well. Loving it.
We're still breathing.
Yes, we are. So, considering all that, just again, remember that TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, is radio the way it should be heard.